Today, we are really going to get into something that so many men get trapped by. It's this cycle of, frustration, of loneliness, of just feeling like you're doing everything right but getting nothing back. We're talking about the nice guy syndrome.
Yeah, and it's really important to frame this right from the start. We're looking at the work of Dr. Robert Glover here, but not like it's some academic textbook.
You're right.
Think of it more as a roadmap, a practical guide to understanding the sort of deep wiring that makes a guy sacrifice who he is just to get approval, to try and control everything and everyone around him.
Okay, let's unpack that, because when we say nice, that's usually a good thing, right? But the sources, they are crystal clear that this nice guy thing, NMMNG, it's not about being kind or polite.
Not at all.
It's about this painful performance, this whole act that's designed to stop you from feeling abandoned. So our mission today is really focused. We're going to understand where this comes from, see how it messes with your relationships, and then lay out the actual and sometimes scary steps to become what the book calls an integrated male.
And that word integrated is key.
Yeah.
This isn't about learning to be a jerk or becoming selfish. It's about integrity. It's about getting to a place where what's going on inside you, your feelings, your needs, your mistakes, it all lines up with what you do on the outside.
So you're showing up as a whole person.
Exactly. A genuine person, which, ironically, is way more powerful and, frankly, more attractive than constantly playing the role of the perfect good guy.
We're talking about a shift from a life that's run by fear to one that's driven by your own purpose. Let's dive in. So we have to start with the definition, because nice guy is just a super misleading term. On the outside, these are the guys everyone praises. They're helpful, they're always accommodating, they never rock the boat. The perfect employee, the ideal neighbor. But the paradox here is, what is actually going on under the surface?
That's the fascinating part. That whole external presentation, it's often a total act. It's all for approval. Inside, the nice guy is, well, he's often resentful, dishonest, and secretly manipulative.
Passive-aggressive?
Very passive-aggressive, secretive, controlling, and then he's prone to these sudden, huge bursts of rage. It's that classic Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing.
And that's what drives partners and friends crazy, isn't it? They'll say something like, he's so helpful, but if I don't thank him in the exact right way for doing the dishes, he'll give me the silent treatment for 3 days.
That's the rage from those unmet expectations boiling up.
Let's talk about the dishonesty part, because if he's always giving, always helping, how is he being dishonest?
The dishonesty is, it's structural. He's dishonest with himself, first of all, about what he actually needs. And then he's dishonest with everyone else about his real motives.
So it's not genuine kindness.
No, it's a transaction. He's giving you X a gift, a favor, his agreement, because he fully expects to get Y in return.
And Y is what? Approval. Sex.
Approval, sex, validation, avoiding a fight, anything. His generosity is basically a down payment on a contract that the other person doesn't even know exists.
So when he doesn't get that return on his investment...
The resentment is immediate. And it's corrosive. And eventually it just explodes.
So he's not really angry about the dishes. He's angry because his secret contract for appreciation wasn't honored, which just proves his deep down belief that he has to constantly perform to have any value.
You've got it. It's exhausting for him, and it's exhausting for everyone who has to deal with him.
But why? Why does a man end up on this path? Why would he believe that suppressing everything and just performing is the best way to survive?
To get that, you have to go all the way back. The sources trace this stuff right back to childhood, specifically to what they call abandonment experiences.
Okay, and abandonment doesn't necessarily mean, like, being left on a doorstep.
Not at all. It's much more subtle. A boy is born completely helpless, right?
Yeah.
His survival depends on his caregivers. An abandonment experience is any time his legitimate needs, emotional needs, physical needs, aren't met consistently or predictably.
Like maybe a parent who is just emotionally checked out. Or only pays attention when the kid is acting up.
Exactly. When a child's needs get ignored, their most primal fear gets triggered. The fear of being abandoned, which for a baby is the fear of death. And because a little kid's brain is totally egocentric, he can't think, oh, mom's having a bad day.
He thinks it's his fault.
He internalizes it. The thought process, and this is all unconscious, is basically, if my needs aren't being met, there has to be something wrong with me.
And that's something wrong with me feeling.
Yeah.
That's what the book calls toxic shame. Let's pause on that, because that is the absolute foundation of this whole thing. What's the difference between that and just, feeling guilty?
It's a critical distinction. Guilt is actually healthy. Guilt says, I did a blood thing.
So it's about an action.
Right. It's specific. You can fix it. You can apologize, make it right, and learn from it. But toxic shame, that's global. It's existential. Toxic shame says, I am a bad person.
I am defective, unlovable.
Exactly. It's not about what you did. It's about who you fundamentally are. It's this deep conviction that you're just inherently inadequate.
So little boy gets wounded by these experiences, and he comes to the conclusion, I'm flawed at my core. And then he spends the rest of his life building a mask. A perfect, helpful, agreeable mask, so that nobody ever sees that terrifying defect he believes is inside him.
That is the survival mechanism in a nutshell. His goal in life stops being about genuine connection and becomes all about masking shame. He thinks if he can just be a good guy, a fixer, a peacekeeper, he'll finally get the love he needs to fix that deep wound. And that leads him right into what's called a nice guy paradigm.
The broken roadmap.
The broken roadmap he follows for decades.
Let's zoom in on that paradigm, because this is the invisible script that's running his life, isn't it? This unconscious if-then rule.
It is. It's his brain trying to make sense of a painful, confusing childhood. And it boils down to this one core belief. If I can hide my flaws and become what I think other people want me to be, then I will be loved. My needs will get met without me having to ask, and I'll have a life with no problems.
Which is just, it's a tragic irony, because that strategy is guaranteed to fail in the adult world. Let's make this real. The sources have some great examples. What about Jason, the chiropractor?
Jason is a perfect example. His whole life was built around avoiding criticism because his dad was super critical. So Jason's strategy was to be perfect. Perfect career, perfect house, perfect behavior. He was hoping that if he did everything right, his wife would give him her full attention and affection. He was basically trying to get her to fulfill the emotional void his mother left because his mom was only ever available when she was stressed and needy.
Wow. So he's running a program from childhood on his adult wife.
He's trying to control her feelings by managing his own behavior.
Yeah.
And it's a massive, exhausting waste of energy because it can't possibly work.
You see the same thing with Omar, right?
Oh, Omar is the classic paradox. His #1 goal in life was to please his girlfriend. He bent over backwards for her. But what did she always say? You're emotionally unavailable.
Why? If he's doing everything for her.
Because the nice guy's focus isn't on real connection. It's on the performance of being helpful. He's doing it to get a result, not to actually engage with her as a person. So he's so busy trying to be nice to earn love that he actually disappears. There's no one there for her to connect with.
And then there are the Todds of the world, the guys who are always stuck in the friend zone.
Yeah, and you have to feel for these guys. Todd gets his validation from being needed. So he becomes the great listener, the safe guy, the shoulder to cry on for women.
He's the guy they call to complain about the jerks they're dating.
Exactly. But it's still a covert contract. He thinks, I'll listen to all your problems, and in exchange, you'll eventually see how good I am and fall in love with me. And when it doesn't happen, he doesn't re-examine his strategy. He just concludes women are broken or shallow, which just feeds more resentment.
So the paradigm is always about trying to control what you can't control. And that constant failure just makes everything worse.
That's the trap.
So if that paradigm is the script, the engine that turns all that shame into daily life frustration, that's the covert contract. This is where the psychology explodes into real-world problems.
It really is. Covert contracts are, they're silent deals. The nice guy does something for you, but in his head, there's this ironclad rule that you must do something back.
And you have no idea.
You have zero idea there are any strings attached. So when you don't do what he expects, when that string snaps, he feels betrayed, he feels angry, and he blames you for breaking a deal you never even knew you made.
It's the ultimate setup for failure. You can't win. It's like giving someone a gift and then getting angry because they didn't praise you enough. You don't say that, though. You say, you're so ungrateful after everything I do for you.
Exactly. And the sources break these contracts down into 3 sort of universal beliefs. They flow directly from that paradigm we were just talking about.
Okay, let's lay them out. These are the 3 core lies the nice guy tells himself.
The first one is all about validation. It's, if I am a good guy, and that means being helpful, unselfish, never causing a problem, then people will like me and love me, and importantly, the people I'm attracted to will be attracted to me.
So his entire sense of self-worth is tied to what other people think of him. He gives up who he is just to constantly check if his behavior is earning him points.
The second contract is about his own needs. If I meet everyone else's needs without them even asking, then they will see that and meet my needs without me having to ask.
Which is just a fantasy.
It's a total fantasy. It comes from his shame. He believes that asking for what you need makes you needy or a burden. So he tries to be super low maintenance, thinking people will magically reward his sacrifice.
And it never happens. People aren't mind readers. And honestly, people respect you more when you can just clearly say what you need.
100%. And the third contract is the big one. It's about control. If I do everything right, if I follow all the rules, I will have a smooth, problem-free life. No criticism, no conflict, no surprises.
He thinks he can manage life into being perfect if he just tries hard enough.
Yeah. So when life does what life does and throws him a curveball, he doesn't see it as normal. He sees it as a betrayal. He feels like a victim because the world cheated him out of the peaceful life he was promised.
This kind of thinking is so damaging in relationships, especially when a nice guy confuses genuine caring with what the book calls caretaking. This is a huge one we need to pull apart.
It's a massive distinction. Caretaking is when you do things for other people that they are perfectly capable of doing for themselves.
Why, though? What's a motive?
The motive is to feel needed, to get approval, or to avoid a potential conflict by solving a problem before it even starts. But genuine caring, on the other hand, is about empowering people. It's supporting them and meeting their own needs.
So caretaking creates dependency, but caring creates growth.
Precisely. And the example of Reese in the sources is just, it's an extreme but powerful illustration of this.
Yeah, tell us about Reese.
Reese would get into these really intense relationships and just completely dissolve. He'd quit his job, sell his car, pay his boyfriend's bills, drive them everywhere. He even moved across the country for a guy who wasn't even committed to him.
His whole identity was just being the fixer, the provider.
Completely. And the price he paid was enormous. He pushed away his friends and family. He was constantly burned out, and he never felt like he was getting enough back. He was trying to buy love by making himself indispensable.
But the irony is that it's actually disrespectful, isn't it?
It's deeply disrespectful. It sends the message, you're not capable of handling your own life, and it builds resentment on both sides. The caretaker feels drained, and the person being cared for feels smothered like a child.
So when these things fail, the contract is broken, the caretaking isn't repaid with love. That's when we get what the sources call the victim triangle cycle. This is how that quiet resentment turns into an explosion.
The cycle is predictable. The nice guy gives and gives based on his secret contract. But the return he expects, the validation, the sex, the peace, it doesn't come. And he's been keeping score in his head this whole time.
This is a frustration build.
It builds and hardens into resentment. And that resentment is a time bomb. Eventually, you get what's called an emotional puke.
Which usually isn't a direct, honest conversation.
Almost never. It's passive aggression, the silent treatment, snide comments, nitpicking, or a full-blown tantrum. In the worst cases, it can become verbal abuse.
And the real problem here is that he can't take responsibility for his part in it. If you call him out on it, he doesn't own his behavior.
No, his first instinct is to try and fix your reaction. He'll apologize immediately, but it's not sincere. He'll make excuses. He'll try to explain it away. He'll do anything to avoid the disapproval because that disapproval confirms his core shame.
So the real problem never gets solved, and the cycle just keeps going.
And it absolutely destroys the power dynamic in a relationship. Especially, the sources point out, in heterosexual relationships, where the nice guy makes his female partner his everything.
His main source of validation.
His only source of validation. He's constantly monitoring her mood, trying to fix her problems, making sure she's happy. In doing that, he basically hands over his entire identity to her. His emotional state is completely tied to hers.
That's an impossible burden for her.
It's unsustainable. It leads to burnout for both of them. And it creates a really dangerous dynamic.
Which is that seeking a woman's approval actually creates rage toward women.
It does. Because if you make your partner into your God, the one person who can grant you self-worth, and that God inevitably fails to meet your impossible unspoken demands, your worship turns to anger.
So he puts her on a pedestal, and then he's furious at her for not being able to hold him up.
Exactly. He feels powerless because he's suppressed his own masculine energy, and he resents her for being the source of the validation he so desperately needs.
And this all plays out in the bedroom, too. This shame wiring leads to what the sources call bad or boring sex.
Well, yeah. For the nice guy, sex is terrifying. It's all tied up in his toxic shame and his fear of being inadequate. So because he feels defective, he can't be present and assertive during sex. His defense mechanism is to become the good lover.
And what does that mean exactly, to be a good lover in this context?
It means he focuses almost 100% on his partner's pleasure,
Hmm.
her arousal, her satisfaction. And look, that sounds selfless, but it's really just a distraction.
A distraction from his own shame.
It's a brilliant distraction.
Hmm.
If he's totally focused on her, he doesn't have to deal with his own fear, his own performance anxiety, his own worries about being desirable. He's performing, not connecting. And that performance makes sex predictable, routine, and it kills the passion.
He loses himself in the act, just like he loses himself in the relationship, which is why it feels empty, even if he's technically doing everything right. Okay, so we've laid out the problem. We understand the toxic shame, the paradigm, the covert contracts. Now we have to get to the solution. We have to talk about how to become the integrated male.
This is the pivot point. And it's not about quick fixes or self-help slogans. It's about a fundamental shift in how you see yourself.
So what is an integrated male?
He's the opposite of the nice guy. He accepts all of himself, not just the good parts, the parts that get him praise. He accepts his power, his passion, his assertiveness, but he also accepts his flaws, his mistakes, his imperfections.
He's not performing anymore.
He doesn't need to. He likes himself as he is, so he doesn't need that constant external validation. He takes responsibility for his own needs.
Yeah.
He's comfortable with his sexuality, and this is huge. He knows how to set boundaries without being terrified of conflict.
And the only way to get there is through action, through behaviors that directly fight against that old toxic shame.
These are the practical step-by-step actions from the sources. And we should say these are going to feel really scary and wrong to a nice guy because they are designed to break that old paradigm.
Let's start with what might be the hardest one of all. Just figuring out what your own needs are and then prioritizing them. I mean, a guy who's spent decades pretending he doesn't need anything, he probably can't even decide what he wants for dinner.
It's a real struggle.
Yeah.
So the core action here is an exercise called putting yourself first. The source suggests taking a set period of time, like a week, and in that week, you consciously make your own needs and your own desires the priority.
I can feel the anxiety that would cause in a nice guy just by saying it. So what's the psychological purpose of doing that?
It's about creating what's called cognitive dissonance. The nice guy's deep belief is, I am worthless, my needs don't matter. Every single time he does something just for himself, says no to something he doesn't want to do, spends money on a hobby, goes to the gym instead of running an errand for his partner, that action sends a new message to his subconscious.
And that message is,
I am valuable. I am worthy of my own time and attention.
so the anxiety he feels when he does it is actually a good sign. It means the old wiring is being challenged.
It's proof that it's working. He has to learn the difference between what the book calls proactive self-care, like planning something for himself, and reactive self-care, which is just collapsing on the couch when he's completely exhausted.
It's a constant process of self-validation.
A marathon, not a sprint. He has to keep doing it, even when it feels selfish, to build that new belief.
Okay, so moving on from needs to the thing that holds them back. Fear. The nice guy is run by fear. Fear of conflict, fear of disapproval, fear of abandonment. So integrity has to involve facing that fear.
Right. And integrity here means radical self-trust. The nice guy always uses what's called the committee approach. He's always trying to guess what everyone else thinks is the right thing to do.
The safe thing to do.
The safe thing. The integrated man just asks himself what feels right to him, and then he does it. And that is the definition of courage.
The sources have a great exercise for this, confronting fear. And the story of Nolan is really powerful here.
Nolan was completely paralyzed by the fear of getting divorced. He was terrified of what people would think, what his kids would say, the financial hit. So he was just stuck in a dead marriage because the fear was bigger than the reality.
So what's the action step? You identify your biggest fear, the one controlling your life, and you take one small concrete step towards it. And you use a mantra.
The mantra is absolutely critical. Every time Nolan started to feel that panic, he had to repeat to himself, I can handle it. No matter what happens, I will handle it.
And his action was just calling a lawyer.
Just calling for information. He didn't have to file for a divorce. But that one small act proved to his subconscious that the terrifying unknown was actually manageable. The mantra rewires his brain to believe in his own competence, which slowly kills that childhood fear of abandonment.
Every little action reinforces, I can handle the consequences.
And when you're not afraid of the consequences anymore, you stop being controllable. Which brings us to the next critical skill for relationships: setting boundaries.
The nice guy feels like a victim because he has no boundaries. He thinks setting them will cause a fight or make someone mad at him. But the truth is, when you don't set a boundary, you're just teaching people how to disrespect you.
You're communicating your own lack of self-respect. A man who values himself sets boundaries. When a nice guy lets bad behavior, slide cheating, insults, constant criticism, he's basically giving his partner a permission slip to treat him badly.
And the sources say the partner loses respect and security. She doesn't feel safe with a man she can walk all over.
Exactly. She needs to know she's with someone who has a backbone.
There's a brilliant test for this in the book, The Second Date Rule.
This just cuts through all the noise. You just ask yourself one question. If my partner did this on our second date, would there have been a third?
Ah, that's good.
If the answer is no, if you would never tolerate that behavior from a near stranger, then why are you tolerating it now? It gives you instant clarity on where your lines should be.
But we have to give the listener a big warning here. Because when you finally do set a boundary, your partner is going to test you.
Oh, she will test you.
Yeah.
Hard.
Why?
Because the whole dynamic of the relationship just changed. And she needs to know if this new you is for real. She'll push back with anger, with tears, with guilt. She's checking to see if you'll fold. She needs to know if she can trust your word and your internal strength.
And if you back down, if you apologize for the boundary,
You fail the test, and you've just taught her that your word means nothing. Standing firm is painful, but it's the only way to earn back her respect and, ultimately, make her feel safe.
Okay, the fourth big area of action is about reclaiming masculine energy, and that's connecting with other men. This is something nice guys often avoid.
They do. They often prefer being around women because that's where they get their validation. And they tend to see other men, especially assertive men, as either threatening competition or just jerks.
But when you don't have those strong male friendships, you put an impossible weight on your partner.
You make her responsible for 100% of your social and emotional needs. That is a recipe for suffocation and burnout. It's totally unfair, and it can't last.
So the action is developing male friendships. And this isn't just about having guys to watch the game with.
No, this is about finding men you can be vulnerable with. Finding a group where there's no agenda, where you can get honest feedback and be held accountable without being shamed or fixed. This is where you learn about strength and courage and discipline from other men.
And part of that is looking at the original source of your masculinity, your relationship with your father.
Yeah, the father relationship. Most nice guys either put their dad on a pedestal and try to be just like him, or they completely reject him, terrified of becoming him.
But the goal here isn't to blame or idolize.
The goal is acceptance. The action is to start seeing your father not through a child's eyes, but as an adult. Seeing him as a wounded human being who probably did the best he could with the tools he had.
And if you can accept the imperfect man who gave you half your DNA,
then you can finally accept the masculine parts of yourself, without being afraid you'll turn into a monster. It's a prerequisite for self-acceptance.
Okay, finally, we have to talk about sex. Reclaiming healthy sexuality, starting with yourself.
This is a big one. You can't have fulfilling intimacy with someone else if you're ashamed of being a sexual person on your own.
So the action starts with practicing healthy masturbation. And the instructions in the source are very specific about this.
They are, because the goal isn't just release. The goal is self-acceptance. So the practice is to focus entirely on your own pleasure and arousal, but without the goal of climaxing right away, and really importantly, without using fantasy or pornography, at least at first.
That sounds almost impossible for someone who's used to using sex as a performance or a distraction.
It's difficult, but it's so important. The goal is to just be present in your own body. Pay attention to your breathing, your heart rate, the sensations. You're teaching your mind and body that you are worthy of sexual pleasure just as you are, without needing any external input.
So it builds self-acceptance, and I imagine it gives you better control.
Way better control. So when you are with a partner, you can be present. You can focus on mutual pleasure instead of your own performance anxiety. And that's where real passion comes from. It stops being a chore or a test and becomes a genuine connection.
This has been, a really deep look at the entire architecture of this syndrome and the blueprint for getting out. If we boil it all down, the path seems pretty clear.
It is. First, you have to understand the core psychology. You have to see that your behavior comes from that toxic shame, from a broken childhood script that was built for survival, not for a happy life.
Then you have to see the real-life applications. You have to be honest about the covert contracts you're running, the caretaking you've been calling love, and the resentment you're creating.
And then, and this is the most important part, you have to commit to the action steps. You have to start prioritizing yourself, acting with integrity, setting boundaries, connecting with other good men, and reclaiming your own sexuality.
The ultimate message, the thing that has to replace that toxic shame, is what?
It's this: you are worthy of love and acceptance and passion just as you are, right now, imperfect. Your worth was never about how well you performed or how many people you pleased. The whole journey is about shifting your validation source from outside of you to inside of you. It's about radical self-honesty.
And you don't have to do it by yourself. The sources are really clear about the power of getting support, a coach, a therapist, a men's group. Finding those safe men is an act of strength.
Absolutely, not weakness. Let me leave you with one final thought on all this. It kind of defines the whole journey. The nice guy lives under this illusion that a smooth, comfortable, problem-free life is possible if he can just control everything.
He's chasing a fantasy.
He is. But the integrated man knows the truth. He knows that life is supposed to be challenging. It's supposed to be unsmooth. He accepts that difficulty is just part of being alive. So the real question for you to think about this week is this: are you willing to embrace the difficulty and the uncertainty that comes with living an authentic life, knowing deep down that no matter what happens, you can handle it?
That willingness to face the discomfort, that's the difference between being a victim and being the leader of your own life. Thank you for sharing your sources and for going deep with us today.
My pleasure.